Hello and welcome to Matters of Faith. I'm Christiana Bakker. One growing phenomenon today is Islamophobia. It is on the rise worldwide, especially since the 9/11 terror attacks. As a result, Muslims in the West experience discrimination at work, in the society, and in their private lives. Today, we're going to investigate the reasons behind this phenomenon. And our guest, Carla Amina Baghajati, will show us ways of overcoming Islamophobia. Carla is the media representative of the Islamic community in Austria, so I'd like to say welcome.
Thank you.
Now, our topic is Islamophobia and how to overcome it. First of all, how would you define Islamophobia?
Well, it's not that easy. It's quite a new term.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, it goes back to the 90s, when in Great Britain the Runnymede Trust published a now very famous study. Islamophobia is something connected to unfounded hostility towards Islam and those who believe in Islam, the Muslims.
Yes.
And the Runnymede Trust has 8 criteria to find a way of describing how this Islamophobia works.
Yeah.
And it's very much linked to the idea, do people have an open or a closed mindset when thinking about Islam?
Yeah.
So the first criteria is that it's a monolithic block when you come to think about Islam.
Okay.
This is problematic, of course, if you put all Muslims, whether American or Turkish or Indonesian origin, in one big pot.
Yes.
Monolithic. This is the first thing. The second criteria, it's seen as something separate, something like the other. And this being the other means that people have the prejudice that there are no shared values, nothing in common with Islam, something strange and estranging. And this opens the next problematic issue. It's seen as something inferior, barbaric, sexist, something irrational. And as a reason seen as the enemy, something where it may be morally right to fight against Islam. And next problematic issue, Islam seen as manipulative. So Muslims as bearing a tendency that their religion helps to create ideologic thinking and political attitudes where Islam is instrumentalized.
Okay. Like
And
Islamism,
yes,
as in Islamism.
of course, yes. And then the perspective that Muslims reject any criticism from the West. And all these 6 topics culminating in Islamophobia seen as something natural.
Really?
And this is why I think we really have to do something to open a very open discussion about the term and about how to overcome Islamophobia. And to me, it's very essential that we don't put any blame on people who carry Islamophobic ressentiments. For we have to make sure it's something natural. All of us carry a rucksack, so-called rucksack of prejudice, and it may happen. So talk about it, come over it.
Yes, and try to dissolve them through education, and
for example,
because it's the fear of the other, isn't it? It's the fear of the unknown. So what you don't know, you fear. But when you understand what it's all about, suddenly you lose your fear. And hopefully, I want to ask you, how big a role does Islamism play, in the perception of people? Because I keep hearing, they want to overrun us all, they want to expand worldwide, these are the sort of fears that come in. Do you think, is that a problem, this new phenomenon of Islamism, do you think? Political Islam?
I do think, of course, it plays a role, but it can play this role because of our long history where Islam, especially in Europe, was seen as the enemy, the other, and was created as an image to define Europe and its values. We had a Congress of Historians in Germany, the year 2003, where they stated that the picture, the image of Islam is now going back to the kind it was like in the end of the Middle Ages. Islam functioning as something like a projection where you can put in everything you don't want to be. And of course in Europe we face this big issue, how to create an European identity, shared identity, and it's always easier to define how we are not than to say this is what we are like. So Islam is something like a barrier, a frontier to say this is what we don't want to be like.
It's surprising though, because Islam has such a historic roots in Europe. I mean, Islamic thinking and the culture and the religion inspired the Renaissance and the Enlightenment. If we think about Islamic Spain, you know, hundreds of years, Islamic civilization flourished there, and
you are absolutely right, and I think this is where we have to come in, not complaining about our situation, but finding solutions in a positive way of thinking to stress these facts, because people are neglective. If you read up on the identity of Europe, you always find the term it's a Christian-Jewish tradition. But where is the Muslim tradition? And we have it. If we talk to each other, even using English language or German language, no matter, we have lots of nouns that originate in the Oriental sphere, from alcohol to sugar. These are originally Arabic terms. And we have this long tradition of thinking. The Enlightenment,
as well.
The Renaissance was fostered by Oriental Islamic thinking. We know it as a fact, but we don't know the details. And this is where education should come in, school programs. We have some very good projects, like in Britain, this 1001 inventions. Putting it into the limelight, naming all these great scientists. And I think this is something that works on both sides. Because it's essential for Muslims as well to create their European identity, to find people they can sympathize with and see them as role models, and to find out, oh, these are Muslims, and they took care about being scientific, and they didn't fear any questions. They dared to ask just anything, no barriers because of religion. It's something we need nowadays as well.